tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment.
There you go, folks. Unavailable for comment when you're dead. Fortunately, sometimes that's how it goes, right? This is the MCU'S YouTube channel and podcast. What's up, Dom? And it is Wednesday. What's the date, guys? 8/21/2024?
Yeah.
Okay, 8/21/24. 9:35, 9:37 p.m. Eastern. Keeping it real. We've got a wonderful DC animated film to review tonight. The Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. And I'm the guest panelist this evening. Justin from Rural Geek Podcast, back with us, I think, for his either fourth or fifth time. Good to see you again. Good to see you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Justin's a good contributor. High flyer. What's up, Cyberneticshark, co-host of the MCU'S YouTube channel podcast?
Hello.
Others pop culture guy. Channel presents Time Cop, Time Lord, sir. What's up?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I'm
double,
here.
I'm here early. The double piece thing is queer, dude.
Yeah.
Time Cop.
It was gay. Anyways, Aston, what's up,
Peace, Reed. That's peace.
Hey,
USA. Come on, dude.
Well, peace is gay, dude. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Trump would spit on that shit.
Wow.
Trump's like, peace, fuck that.
Demonetized in 3, 2, 1. Gone.
Had to get Trump in there somehow. Anyways, so wonderful film tonight, guys. I'm Jeff S., aka TrueKnowledge, humbled to be the creator and host of the MCU'S YouTube channel podcast. On our way to 60K subscribers on YouTube, motherfucker. What's up? Just got done talking to a online sex toy company today about advertising our show. We'll see how it goes. Figure go right to the companies where they hit us right in the sweet spot. Right where we're at. So I was like, look, our audience will buy your shit, right? Because you're all a bunch of freaky motherfuckers at the end of the day, just like us over here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Well, maybe not Andre's the pop culture guy.
Sure.
He's venturing over into men these days, so who knows? But anyways, Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. Andres, I know you still got your fans. Andres is the only member of the Bleeding Edge team that has fangirls.
Yeah, I do. And another timeline.
I wish I had the video. I deleted that video that I had of that chick chasing that car with you in it or whatever. Unfortunately, for space purposes, I had to fit other stupid clips in there, like the guy that fucking was dead and unfortunately couldn't comment on the story. But so Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. First question, Cyber. I'll go to you first, sir, because you have the most tenure on the panel on the Bleeding Edge. Overall, leading into this film, the installments earlier in the DC Animated Film collection, where are you at with DC Animated in our, whatever it is, the 15th or 16th film or whatever it is, before you actually watch Flashpoint Paradox?
Well, the first time I watched this was actually about 4 or 5 years ago, so this is a rewatch for me. This was my first time, so at the time I remember enjoying the story, the thought process, and everything, and I ended up, leading up to this point, before I realized we were reviewing this particular film, and that it had been a while since I had seen it. I had totally forgotten about it until we saw that we were reviewing it. So rewatching it was kind of like rewatching for the first time a little bit. So going in from what we've already done, going off of the last film, which was a really great film, I was expecting it to be another great film. So, and it was a really fun film, great story. I mean, just like you said in the MCU Bloom chat, sick as hell. But like they went all the way bizarro with this film. Simple fact of just how graphic they got, which was really interesting. So, really fun film. So going in from this one, I was really looking forward to seeing this one and hoping for the best.
Okay, Justin, same question. Maybe you'll actually give me more depth than Cyber did. Give me talk about the animated films that lead up to Flashpoint Paradox?
Yeah, so DC Animated Films is on like a heater coming up into Flashpoint. They've released a ton of amazing animated movies. Like I got into DC when I was real young. When I with obviously Batman the Animated Series got me into DC, but I followed DC religiously. I know we're on the MCU bleeding edge, but I was a DC first. Like DC has always had my heart in and out. Like. And so I followed every movie they dropped, every comic book they released up until like the Rebirth series. I was up to date every single week on most of the main characters. So I when the Flashpoint comic book dropped in 2011, I was in college, and I was absolutely like enthralled with that storyline, and the fact that these DC movies were going to pick up that storyline. I know, like, we got the Superman movie that was the Superman was epic, incredible. The fact that they did Death of Superman, and so like, and every movie leading up to that, like they were just on another level, man. They were like heater after heater after heater. So when I found out they were doing Flashpoint, I was like, this has to be a banger. Like there's no doubt about it, because they're just on that next level. But yeah, and the movie lived up to the hype. It still is like one of my favorite DC animated movies that to this date, and we've had a lot of fun ones. So yeah, this era of DC animated honestly like puts MCU and Marvel to shame in general. Like it was so good.
Well, I wish I had Flash's powers to be able to go back in time and shit like that, because it would be so awesome if I could actually give you guys accurate body counts for those years, like 2011. What was my body count? You know what I mean? Just give some up close and personal, side extra content for the MCU Bleeding Edge here for folks. You know what I mean? A little private shit. So I can just give you guys my body count, but I can't actually give it to you. You know what I'm saying? I know I slayed a lot of hoes that year. I was single, 2 years divorced. No, I'm sorry, not divorced yet, but 2 years separated. I was like, for the first time in my life, racking up body counts as an adult after like having like a really shitty sex area marriage, for like 10 years. After I slayed a lot of fucking pussy as a kid, like a lot of pussy. Like shaving like adult men and shit when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old.
Well, hopefully you didn't last as long as the Flash did. So that's what hopefully you're good there.
Well, I don't know about that. I've got really good natural stamina, but yeah, I definitely had a really good year in 2011, without question. I wish I could go back and revisit it. Right? It'd be great. Relive it. Some of the certain experiences. But Andre's a pop culture guy. Same question, sir.
Yeah. If you're a huge Flash fan, like this was a big deal. The fact that we're adapting it this early, because like Flashpoint, the storyline was already like that was the jumping point in the comics from the old continuity to the new 52. And so the fact that we're adapting this was kind of cool. Yeah, fantastic movie. I mean, when you talk about DC animation films, in general, this one is always the top tier. Great animation, great voice cast. I mean, this is the best voice casting I ever seen. I mean, just crazy. And the animation, just the story they adapted is really great. It's just a shame that the live action stuff failed to really adapt this storyline so properly. Like, the Flash movie was okay, and but still, this is one of the best DC animation films, and I think it's one of the best adaptations. So I'm excited to talk about this movie.
The Flash movie was good.
Yeah, but it was a good, like, I preferred it when it was solo, but when he was doing the multiverse, like this movie does, this does it much better than that. But we'll get into that.
Okay, Aston.
Oh man, this takes me back to like Justin said, college, but I was like just out of college. It's 2013, right? This like right after college, and I remember reading the graphic novel, and in my head I'm like, yes, they finally gave a more adult tone to Flash. Because let's face it, I mean, they even do it they talk about it in the movie, so I'm not going to spoil it just yet. But I loved seeing the Flash in a more grittier sort of story. It wasn't him just running around Circuit City with like these guys, Captain Kangaroo with boomerangs and stuff. Like, nah, like this was, what if you could do something right? And I think all of us would have taken that same chance, whatever it was, we would have done the same thing in the same position. And I loved how they did a really good adaptation, especially recently when we see how badly they adapt the source material they really did good with this. I was really like, it took me right back to when I first watched it, and I enjoyed it back then. And it gave me so much hope for what was going to be coming down the pipeline and stuff. It had all the hallmarks of something that was good DC. Like for me, like I really liked the more adult tone. So yeah, loved watching this again.
Well, it is the 18th film of the DC Universe animated original movies, and the first film of the DC animated movie universe. And there was a post-credit scene that basically was very quick, that just showed the Paradooms or whatever in space or some shit like that, like I guess coming to Earth or something. So if anybody wants to say anything, feel free to, if anybody wants to talk about that post-credit scene right now, why I'm kind of going over the intrinsics of the film before we start the actual body of the review. Does anybody have any thoughts on that post-credit scene and the direction of the DC animated universe? Even if you've watched ahead, I haven't, so. Go ahead.
Personally, I don't think it paid off, though. I think they kind of left it there and they didn't do too much with it from what I can remember. Now, maybe they did, but I always thought it was like a loose thread to something Flash did in that movie, but I feel they never did something with it. At least in the next, like I'm looking at IMDb because you mentioned it, and I cannot can't remember anything from the following movies that touched on the outro of this. I didn't even watch the end credits the first time round, so this was news to me, to Dre, when he shared it in the chat. So yeah, I tried to figure out if it paid off somewhere. I can't remember if it does, so I think they never ran with it.
Justin, you got anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, the parademons at the end, I mean, it just alluding to a bigger story in the universe, like coming with Apocalypse, obviously, which they do end up having like a Justice League Apocalypse that does come to fruition.
Oh yeah, eventually. That's a good movie. I can't wait to review that.
Yeah,
that's the movie that got me into DC animated films. See the Apocalypse War film? I saw it on YouTube one night in the middle, like late at night. It was on YouTube for free, but like obscured. The way you had to watch it was not like a full picture shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like obscured, but it was free. So I watched it. It was dope.
Yeah, but it was basically like just setting up like this world is going to expand from here on out. Like that's what I gathered from it. Like I was like, okay, cool. We got a established, like you mentioned, Jeff. You said there was 18. This is the 18th film, but this is the first of the DC animated like actual universe, the extended universe. And so that was the launching point for all the movies that come after this, and that kind of was like setting the tone for like big picture, like for all the DC fans out there. Like they're like, oh, okay, this is big deal. Darkseid, we're gonna get an actual like really good interpretation of Darkseid. But I mean, like they did a good job during like the Superman animated series back in the day and all that stuff. But like this is like, okay, we're getting it film version. We are going to get grittier PG-13, which is incredible. So yeah, that's really what it told me. It was like big picture, world's growing, that kind of thing.
Andreas.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Justin say. It's, I mean, first off, moving forward, like this was a clear sign for them, because the next movies we're going to see, they're going to adapt the New 52 storylines for some of the characters, particularly the Justice League. The next Justice League movie we're going to review, I think, is Justice League War, which has Darkseid as the main villain, and also they're going to do, build up the universe, as Justin said before, as you were saying, Jeff, the Apocalypse War, that is the final movie of this like continuity that we're getting into. So it's doing like kind of both like setting up and then showing you what's the next Justice League movie that we're going to see in this new continuity.
Cyber.
Are we still talking about the post-credit scene?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I thought it was pretty, interesting, pretty basic, helped to really show which direction they were trying to go with this particular Justice League, like, look and everything, and this storyline. So I think that it had a lot of potential that I have not really watched, I haven't really watched and order anything, so I don't know if I've seen any of the stuff pertaining to that particular post-credit scene, but I feel that it would be interesting to just see where that went and what they did with it, because I found it very kind of an interesting little side, little video, little scene that really spiked my interest in where it would go. So I think it was a decent little scene. Did I think it was very pivotal for this film? No, but overall, it still spiked my interest, and I thought it'd be interesting to find out more about it.
Okay. So, as we start, the introduction of the film, I just want to mention really quick that the movie itself is, of course, a 2013 American animated superhero film directed by Jay Oliva and written by Jim Craig. It's the adaptation of the 2011 comic book crossover Flashpoint by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert. And, of course, the film stars Justin Chambers as Barry Allen, The Flash, C. Thomas Howell as Eeyore Thawne, Professor Zoom, Michael B. Jordan as Victor Stone, Cyborg, Kevin McKinn as Thomas Wayne, Batman, Carrie Hughes as Orid, Arthur Curry, Aquaman. The film also sees actors reprising roles from other DC animated series, including Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne, Batman, Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Rob Perlman as Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, Dana Delany as Lois Lane, Vanessa Marshall as Princess Diana, Wonder Woman, and Dee Bradley Baker as Etrigan. Dee Bradley Baker is on one of my favorite animated shows, American Dad. Anyways, I'm a huge American Dad fan. I love that show. So, the plot of the film, the way it starts off essentially is that while visiting his mother's grave, Barry Allen, known as the Flash, is alerted to a break-in by Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, Heatwave, Mirror Master, and Tom at the Flash Museum. Defeating the rogues, he discovers that they have been hired by his arch-enemy, Professor Zoom, as part of a plan to destroy Central City. With the help of the Justice League, Zoom's plot is thwarted. While being taken to prison, Zoom taunts Flash on the death of his mother. So, guys, the intro, extremely intense, right? Intense Justice League shit. Aston, what are your thoughts, sir?
I like the opening. The opening really, it rang off. It was also an emotional intro because you see him handling it by himself, and they come subsequently like they usually do, even in the panels and everything else, like da-da-da-da. But it opened out with a lot of action. You could immediately tell because of the language. I think there was even some blood and stuff like that. So early on, you're like, okay, this is definitely going to be more of an adult feature that we're going to be watching. And like for me, that whole scene setting it up with him going into the fight was it was interesting, so to speak, because you already had Thawne in it. So it's like everything just comes together in a really, really nice way. When it comes to choreography, like I think Jeff mentioned it on the last two, actually, like the fighting has just gotten better and better when you go from like, yes, the animated series was great, but now they're incorporating the technology in a way without making it, look cheap. Now, I didn't like the last two because they kind of had that, for me personally, a feeling of cheapness. This one, I liked what they did with the animation. I don't know whether it's the coloring. I don't know if it was the design guy, maybe because they had more people from the animated series, but it definitely, loved the intro. Really sets you up to see Flash in a better light, especially for someone who's never seen it, like isn't a huge fan. Seeing this, him in action, really kicking butt and blood being spilled, like, the stakes are immediately higher. So
imagine being blind and seeing it. Like only having your sight given back to you, whatever. They're watching Flashpoint Paradox. That shit would be crazy. I'm just the pop culture guy.
I agree. I mean, this opening is fantastic. I mean, like a dark opening.
It's almost as good as sex, huh, sir?
Yes, exactly. Yes, I totally agree. You're on point, Jeff. 100 points for you. Anyway, yes. I mean, well, first off, I'm a huge Flash fan. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters. I really appreciate the opening giving us some like Flash stuff. Like, I mean, first off, they gave us like his origin story, or like like why he is the Flash, why he does this as a superhero, and seeing the mom and then seeing the death of the mom, like I was not expecting that opening, and then getting a cool like James Bond cold opening, seeing the Flash going up against his rogues. That's the villain team for these for his supervillains here. It's called the Rogues, and I really appreciate that they put the villains together and go with the Flash Museum. That's great. Like it's one of the best like geeky like wet creams of all time. Just like the Flash beating his rogues, and then the reveal is Reverse Flash is the leader, which that was like a cool concept, and I really like that. But yeah, I thought this opening like just give you that confidence, and the animation here is really cool, very unique. Not like the ones that we have reviewed previously. I do agree with us that I think this is definitely a step up from the animation there. But yeah, great start for a film for this big like ambitious project that we're going to get into.
Okay, sir. Pardon me. I just I wanted to like show my ass to the camera or something, So I thought I would pretend that I was fidgeting with one of my webcams or something, but I just wanted to show off. Because I've got so much booty. I've got so much booty, baby. Cyber.
So the beginning of the film is really action-packed and really fun. I particularly am not a big fan of the animation of this film. I thought the animation looked too much like anime, which I'm not a big fan of anime. And I think that the drawings are just very odd. And, that kind of takes away a little bit from the film for me. But this beginning sequence is just action-packed with, the Justice League working together, and all this kind of good stuff. And we have a good introduction to a lot of DC villains. We as you mentioned, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Captain Boomerang, who we all have seen in different versions in DC animated or DC universe TV shows and movies. Just like we saw, Captain Cold and Heatwave, and of course DC Legends Tomorrow. We saw Captain Boomerang and the Suicide Squad. We've seen a lot of these in action form that I think have been done pretty well. So it was really fun to see them return in this. And then, of course, some other villains we hadn't seen in a while. And so they really busted out, I think, even at in this very intro, giving us a lot of different characters right off the bat. A lot of DC characters that you just kind of are like, oh, yeah, that's blah, blah, blah. That's blah, blah, blah. And so I think that as I'm watching it, and like I said, rewatching this, because it had been a few years since I had seen it, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot he was in this. I forgot he was in this. I forgot her was in this, and blah, blah, blah. And just like where they went with it. And so this beginning intro, I think, is a really well done, intro compared to some of the previous films. I think this has one of the best intros I've seen I would say probably the last 4 films. Even the last film we did, which I really enjoyed, I think that the intro is pretty comparable, but I feel that this is a very action-packed, fun intro that gives us a lot of great characters, but at the same time, I think really gets the story going very well.
I would agree. Yeah, the intros on some of the recent films coming up to this one have not been all that great. So, Justin.
Yeah, so we talked about the intro, like leading in and kind of just giving us like a fun team up and atmosphere. But like even before that, when we first get introduced as Kid Barry and his mom broken down, like you see a relationship being established between mom and son, and then later on, just shortly after, you see then her killed and murdered. So right then and there, like that sets the stakes for the entirety of the movie for me. It's like, okay, you're killing the mom in a brutal way, murder, and then you transition to him at her tombstone. Like, okay, so we're in this now. And if you are just coming into this movie and your only experience with the Flash is from Justice League the animated series, you're used to like a fun, upbeat, like more of a clownish Wally West is what you got. You didn't get Barry Allen, you got Wally West, but then like Barry's sitting there staring, putting the flowers down at his mom's tombstone, and just like you feel like as the viewer, you relate to his anguish and his the feelings that he has of just like another year on my mom's birthday that I have to be without her, that kind of thing. And since his childhood, like these are things that DC, I think, really like drives home to their viewers, is that like they hit you with this more relatable, like feeling emotional. So now you're like invested into the storyline now. And then that transitions over to the fun team up with the rest of the superheroes. And then just like Cyber said, seeing all of the rogues in action with like, oh yeah, Top's in this. I forgot about Top. Like he's like one of the throwaway villains in Flash's comic books and his storylines, but they have him pretty featured in that opening fight, since he's like Flash is on bottom and I'm on top or whatever, and he like cheesy line, which is fine. Like you get that, but then like you get cool new like weapons and crazy stuff, and everywhere Flash goes, like there's a different rogue, and that's just, to me, like I was like, this is awesome. Like we're and then you just add the Justice League into that, and then they have to like defuse these bombs and go in different areas. You get to see them hone their abilities, and they all have different ways of doing it. Like for example, like how badass is Superman just be like, I'm just gonna hold it with 2 hands, and you can actually see like the shock and scare.
First time with Cyborg on the team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then Cyborg here too. And Cyborg is just using his little tentacles to disarm it, and that's great. Like you get to see everyone featured in a way. And like I think Aquaman too, like he did a cool thing using like the microbes or whatever in the ocean, and they're like, that was awesome. Like Aquaman was a joke before these series. These movies introduced him as this like tough, grittier guy. Like, but yeah. Anyway, seeing all that leading up in this intro, like it was phenomenal, man. You had me from the get-go. It was amazing.
Oh, dude, Aquaman in this movie, his pecs are like the size of a fucking beer keg.
Dude, yes, exactly.
He gets stabbed with a fucking sword, and like it doesn't even phase him. You know what I mean? Like right in his back and shit. Like doesn't even, that's how much durability he's got.
Insane physique.
He's got rocket. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't playing. But no, I'll tell you, that tool that Cyborg has will be good for chastity belts. You know what I'm saying? That little, claw with the tendrils and shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've got the skeleton key, so I'm good. The skeleton key, baby. Right, Andreas? Yeah, Andreas knows. Anyways, so the next day, Barry discovered that the world has changed. His powers are gone. His mother is alive. His wife, Iris, is married to someone else, and the Justice League does not exist. Aquaman and the Atlantean forces have sunk Western Europe, while Wonder Woman has led the Amazons in conquering the United Kingdom. Both forces have been at war since an alliance between them collapsed after Wonder Woman killed Aquaman's wife, Mira, who had confronted her for having an affair with Aquaman. That's right, they got it on. Aquaman and Wonder Woman got it on. It was crazy. Cyborg has assembled a team to eliminate both parties and approaches Batman to join them. But he refuses to lead the government. He refuses to lead the government to scrap the plan and to send recruit pilot Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, to fly an alien spacecraft to bomb the Atlanteans. He's not a Green Lantern yet. I don't know why it says Green Lantern. Fuck you, Wikipedia. Come on now. Tighten up a little bit. So, that's our next installment. We're not at the Batcave with Barry yet, Cyber. Your thoughts?
Okay, why the fuck would I think he's at the Batcave? You didn't mention it.
I'm just giving like a precursor, so you know what the cutoff is.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so this portion of the film is a very interesting portion. Simple fact that waking up and all of a sudden everything has changed and you don't know why. Basically you kind of have no recollection of what happened. Is one of those situations you're just kind of like, huh, what the hell? And seeing everything change, his mother being alive now, which we are very familiar with in the live action Flash movie. We're familiar with it in the Flash TV show. We've seen it, and this is a very well-known story arc of the Flash coming to wanting to bring his mother back to life since that day. And so Barry is very emotional and all this kind of stuff, and you get to see kind of this vulnerable side of Barry. And So to kind of go from that super action to that was kind of interesting, that they kind of slowed it down a little bit to really progress the story and give you a little more insight into, Barry and kind of, what the Flashpoint Paradox is about.
Oh, I got your frozen bone. It's right there. You eat your frozen bone.
So as as they do, move along and show kind of what has happened, that the Justice League is not there, that everyone is not who they are, in his original universe. We get to see kind of this whole new alternate universe, this multiverse, as the MCU is trying to do. And so, we get this really greatly written, I feel, good intro into this new universe that Barry is being a part of. And so we have this, great kind of introduction of these different characters that Barry knows from his universe, and they're completely different than what he knows them at. I mean, the scene where we see that Aquaman and Wonder Woman have an affair, I mean, that's pretty sexy there. I mean, that's pretty downright, showing that DC was getting down with this. And so the fact that Wonder Woman goes and chops off her head, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, God damn. I mean, I know that, you dig Aquaman's D, but Jesus, man, you don't have to go cutting people's heads off. But, later on, we'll find out something else. But the fact that, she thinks that she's defending herself, I don't know. I didn't really feel like Mare was trying to really try to, kill her. I think she was just kind of mad and trying to get back even, with her sleeping with her man type of deal. More like that Southern, kind of, trailer trash thing going on, But anyways, it kind of goes that way, I felt, with that whole situation. But the action in that whole sequence was done really well. I mean, it, the blood splatter, the sword play, all that was really done really animatedly well. And so, finding out these different things about the different characters leading up to the Batcave, I think that we have a really great kind of forwarding plot that is keeping you interested, keeping you invested, and is really well written.
Aston.
Yeah, for me, this is, what I love about DC is that it's believable when they have these sort of alternate sort of timelines, universes. Like what comes to mind is Red Sun. That's one of my favorite takes on Superman. Okay, guys, this is what happens. This is what happens if he ain't on your shores. This is what happens if he's with the other guys. Yeah, don't look too bad either. He's still Superman at the end of the day. But yeah, here it was first the absence of Superman. Everything was pretty much, from what I can remember, it's very close to the comic. Very close to the comic, but even though you know how it goes down in the comic, you still are moving along with it. Seeing that the gore, seeing that they've taken everything over, and that Barry just woke up and it's a little hokey with him bumping into his mom and stuff, literally going out of the police station and stuff. And okay, that was a little force plot armor and stuff, but still that's what I took away from that intro. That was like what Justin was alluding to earlier. It's yeah, that's the emotions, DC does it a lot better. And as he's trying to figure out what's really happening in that intro, you're seeing the carnage and everything pretty badass. Aquaman and Wonder Woman just getting messy, just straight up messy was that too was, to me, it wasn't as much as this guy getting a second chance but not figuring it out at all in that beginning. And he's not supposed to, but it just feels right. You feel his pain, what's going on. She's married with this dude, got kids, who am I? Where? What am I? I'm not running. I'm and we stopped just before the Batcave, or what are we talking about here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so him, and he's heading somewhere. He's heading somewhere. So yeah.
Props to Aquaman. I think he worked out a deal with the Wonder Woman chicks, right? He told them, he was like, if we're gonna have an alliance, I get the bag Wonder Woman.
Oh, for sure, man. That was
You know
like
what I'm
that was that wap wet ass, crustacean.
He's
sex.
like, I want that virgin drizzle. You know what I'm saying?
Like it's
up?
mammalian.
Justin.
Yeah. Okay. So like we get Barry waking up at his, I guess, work. I don't know why he's doing like falling asleep at work, that kind of thing, right? But him and his memory loss.
I'm just falling asleep right now. Who fucking knows?
Yeah. But he gets woken up. He's all dazed and confused, and I think that right there, like we didn't get any explanation. All we know is that he runs off from saving the last scene, and then he's waking up here, and the confusion that is stirred in that moment, where like they're talking about Cold is fighting Boomerang again, and Flash is like, oh yeah, the Rogues are at it again, and then his boss is just like, Rogues, what? He's like, and he's like, this whole like establishing the confusion, it really like helped me as like the viewer, like really like feel the Flash's like, guys, no, this is what it's supposed to be, and then just to have them throw it right back at your face, like, what are you talking about? And then to only like reveal to your mom later on in the alley, like, I'm the Flash, and she looked at you like, what? Oh, I thought you were gay, that kind of thing. Like, it was a great throwaway. Like, I love that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was.
But then, so then, okay, something's up, and then just the reveal of how the world is, and you see a darker Batman. Like instantly, when you see Batman, he's dueling like guns. Like this is 100% a push to the viewer. Like, okay, something is really different here, and we gotta like unravel that to see what this world's really like. But Batman's fighting Yo-Yo on the rooftop with guns, and dude, he doesn't play, man. Savage. Thomas Wayne just chucks her off the freaking building, and Cyborg ends up saving her. But the conversation that Cyborg has with Thomas on this rooftop, I think is very, very pivotal of how the world is. And like, obviously Cyborg working for the government now, and I do think Michael B. Jordan did deliver in a lot of his lines. So I mean, obviously when you take a name like Michael B. Jordan, you expect great things, fantastic things, but this was 2013 Michael B. Jordan. He hasn't quite like popped off like he is nowadays. But yeah, like the back and forth between Thomas Wayne and Cyborg, and then bringing in the hologram of heroes. I don't know. It kind of just established the world for me even more. Like, this is a broken world where these heroes are desperate for help from Batman, or they're desperate for help from any hero that's willing to participate to try to end this war that's on the verge of breaking out. But no, I do agree with DC and their dark tones and going towards like Aquaman and Wonder Woman getting it on. But like, let's like not get too hasty here. Like, Wonder Woman's not completely at fault here. Aquaman's the one who couldn't keep in his pants. So like, if he didn't do that, then Mira's not confronting him. But they kind of were just like in the middle of this empty room, and Mira's like off to the side just watching. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was Mira, I would have stepped in there. Like, I would have like, hey, whoa. But she let it play out. Who knows how long she was watching for? That sounds like something Jeff would do. Jeff, right? How long would you watch for normally?
Not very long.
Yeah, not very. Yeah, okay. So there you go. Not very long, but so I guess she walked away, but then confronted her later on, which is absolutely wild. That Wonder Woman was like, "Okay, I'm just sharpening my sword, and you're gonna come at me right now." Like, okay, you can pick a better moment. But yes, this was an incredible sequence of events that really established the world, and then we get Barry in a car, and then that alone is like fantastic, because the fact that he's waiting in traffic, phenomenal. We know he's going somewhere, but we don't know where yet. And so yeah, take it away, whoever's next.
Yeah, great adaptation of Harley Quinn in the film. A real change up, a nice pleasant surprise from Cape Crusader, without question. I can tell you that right now.
Well, this is supposed to be Yo-Yo, not Harley Quinn. This is.
Oh, that's not Harley Quinn. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. Well, Yo-Yo was great.
Yes, I agree.
She was good. I like that weapon she had. I forget what that's called, but that weapon is like ancient. That the weapon that has the blades on the end with the strings.
Yeah.
That's the same weapon that the guy has in Daredevil season 1 that he fights.
Very cool. Yeah, animated really well too. That the whole weapons like just swinging around. Great animation there.
Yeah, Daredevil gets fucked up with that weapon. Against that weapon, he gets.
Yes, he does.
He gets all bloodied up. I like that weapon. That shit is dope. Andre's pop culture guy.
Yes. I mean, this section, I agree with Austin about the Elseworld stories. Like, the best DC stories are the multiverse slash, alternate stories, like Batman by Gaslight, Superman Red Sun, or, Batman The Long Halloween. Like, those are probably my favorite stories of DC as well. And seeing that unfold in a very well executed sequence like this, it's really fantastic. I mean, I agree with Justin. I mean, they took their time to show us this new DC world, with Thomas Wayne's Batman and Cyborg and some of the alternate heroes. Of course, the villains are somewhat the heroes, and then some of the heroes are the villains. Like, it's like crazy. It's just really great. Yeah, the mom thing, I agree with Cyber. It's something that we already seen before. Like, if you've seen the TV show, the movie, it's kind of like expected. I wasn't really surprised by that. But the one thing that was so funny that I was so happy you guys brought up was the, are you gay? I it's totally fine. That cracked me up. I was like, wow.
No, she's like, you're gay. She's
You're
like,
gay.
no,
Yeah. And I like how she's like, no worries. I'm fine with that. Great mom. She's the mom of the year. I'm so happy. So that was a very funny scene. I just love that. And those details, like the TV scene, Citizens Cold, it was so great because I read the book and it was great to see like those little things being the Easter eggs for this film, which was really awesome. This is something I wish the movie actually did that, adapt Thomas Wayne, Batman, and Cyborg, and by the way, when I saw the end of the credits of the actors, I was like, Michael B. Jordan, not the basketball star Michael B. Jordan. I was like, oh
Michael
no,
Jordan.
Michael Jordan. And I thought, then I saw the actor, I was like, oh, Killmonger voice Cyborg. I was like, whoa. I love him. He's great. I like Cyborg in Teen Titans, not in Justice League, but I thought here he was used so much better. So I love Cyborg. So he was the best part about this movie, and I thought they cast him right there. I thought the sequence did so great, and when Barry was driving, we did see that he was going to Gotham City. Like those, I don't know what you call it, the intersections. They tell you like where you were heading. So like we knew he was going to Gotham City to see Batman. But yeah, very excited to talk about that part. It's really cool.
Yeah, Cyborg is dope in Teen Titans, and he's dope in Teen Titans Go too. He's a solid character. I like the Teen Titans. I wish they would do an adaptation with the actual Teen Titans from the animated series, like version of the team. And
yes,
like Dark Apocalypse War has like Raven from that team. Like I like that Raven. She's a great character.
She's my favorite of the Teen Titans.
Did anybody watch the Titans live action show, man? Any of y'all like that?
No.
I watched it. Not a huge fan.
Like I couldn't get through I think I might.
It was better than other stuff I've watched that was worse before.
I mean, it's like La Femme Nikita levels of Budge. It felt so Budge. Like I didn't like what they did with the characters. I mean, Robin is supposed to be somewhat around their age, and then they got this like you had two people which looked way like in their 30s, and they're all supposed to be like younger superheroes. It's a
really tough concept to try to sell in live action and pull off in live action.
And it did to me, like the budget also took me out of it. I'm like, this is DC, like they don't do a lot of stuff like Marvel when they had Shield and Daredevil, so like DC to me, I was like, okay, if DC's doing this, I have to give it a shot. And I got through, I think 4 episodes, bro. And I was like, you know what? I can't. This is just, there's like no immersion. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't buy it, but that was just me.
I think Gunn is actually going to try to resurrect the Teen Titans at some point. At least he said he was going to. There was a leak or a rumor that they were going to do the Teen Titans in some way. I wish they would do it. I wish they would try to resuscitate the Teen Titans animated series, not the Teen Titans Go, but the actual animated series. I think it's a solid show. So Barry visits the Batcave, but is attacked by Batman, who he realizes is not Bruce Wayne, but his father, Thomas. Attempting to explain things to Batman, Barry tries to show him his Flash costume. However, the costume in this ring turns out to be Professor Zoom's, causing Barry to believe Zoom is responsible for the timeline alteration. Convinced of Barry's good intentions, Batman helps him recreate the accident that gave him his powers, but the attempt fails, and Barry is severely burned as a result. In London, Steve Trevor attempts to extricate reporter Lois Lane, but is discovered by the Amazonians and killed. The Amazons hunt down Lane, who is rescued by the local resistance, along with Dr. Zoom. Meanwhile, in the remains of Paris, Deathstroke and Lex Luthor are attacked and killed by Aquaman's forces while tracking the enemy trail of Aquaman's new weapon, which is powered by a captive Captain Adam. At the Batcave, after realizing that his memories are changing, Barry asks Batman to recreate the accident again. The second attempt is successful. Barry gains his powers, but cannot travel through time because Zoom has also using the Speed Force. He's like commandeered it. So, Justin, start with you first.
Yeah. Okay. So just the Batcave, every sequence in the Batcave is phenomenal in this movie. Just the reveal of Bruce was the one that died, and like Barry being like, oh dang, like it was Bruce, and then he's like, how do you know my son's name? Like just that was just, it just hits even harder just knowing how many iterations we've seen the parents die, and then knowing that Bruce was the one that died here. Like it was it just hit a little harder. And then Barry's like, we gotta recreate this to stop whatever's going on here, and I could go back in time. And this is where the live action Flash movie, like the real, like the big budget movie, failed. Is like they didn't show as gruesome as they did this scenes here where he recreates it and he fails and he's like on fire, burning like alive. They did it a little bit. They like dabbled their toe in it in the Flash movie with Ezra Miller, but they did not like fully show what happens to Barry. Like he honestly, like he should have died and burned alive, but because Thomas was a doctor back in the day, he was able to keep him alive long enough to figure out a new plan. And Barry does want to let's go again. Like that's how his determination is right here, and how big the stakes are, is that he is willing to put his body on the line again. And just like that sequence is just it's so powerful. It really is. And then you have happening at the same time, I'm assuming on the other side of the world, Lex Luthor working with Deathstroke to track down a weapon. And the brutalness of this sequence here when they get captured by Aquaman is insane, because you're watching them just like mow down their team, going back and forth. Like Lex Luthor and like is powerful. Like he's smart and he's got weapons. He knows what he's doing. He's not just a Joe Schmo, right? Like he knows what he's doing. And Aquaman just overpowers him. And Ron Perlman as Deathstroke does such a good job here, man. Ron Perlman is like a goat, like in anything he touches, he's amazing. And so seeing how brutal they just get whacked, like they're done. They're done for. Like Lex Luthor's like, well, at least I was right, and then just takes his L. He wears it real good, and it's just continuously adding onto the universe of this is dark, it's gritty, and we're going to just keep punching you guys in the mouth while the story's going on. And it was incredible. I mean, the Batcave sequence, and then going into like Aquaman and his brutality, fantastic, great.
Andreas.
I mean, as a Batman fan, it's always great to see the Batcave and then the way matter things, but in an alternate timeline. So it was great to see Thomas Wayne. I mean, I always crack up when we see Thomas drinking out of that like can. That always cracks me up. It's like, oh man, like he's like Clint Eastwood meets, Donald Glover. I'm like getting too over this shit, he was that type of guy, I totally forgot. It's kind of weird that Bruce didn't carry on his father's like medicine like skills, because that's also useful. And it was good to see Thomas, doing his medical things, because that is part of his character in the comic books. If you read the Batman stuff, like Long Halloween kind of addressed that, because he had to help somewhat important in that. So yeah, the Batcave stuff was really great. I mean, Barry taking a huge risk of getting his powers again twice is kind of crazy, but yeah, it is visually like scary to see him burn. But also during this time, he's getting the like his old timeline and his new timeline memories like merging into his like mind, and it was really cool and great visual storytelling showing how like Superman's rocket didn't meet, the Kents. You saw the origin story of the Thomas Wayne. Like I love that we saw that because it was so creepy to see the wife, Martha, becoming the Joker, and laughing. It was like creepy, and she did the Joaquin Phoenix thing. It was like it was like crazy. It was so cool. Yeah, and then also I think here we see the like Aquaman, the Lantis and Amazon like getting together, and then you see the conflict, starting. Yeah, really great sequence of getting ramped up for the big part in the third act. So I really enjoyed this, and oh my god, like Jeff, you brought up the Teen Titans, like Ron Perlman is my definitive version of Slade, Deathstroke. He's so fantastic. He's great in those seasons. If you haven't seen the Teen Titans like animation show, he's so fantastic as Slade there. And I was so happy to hear his voice. He's like so cool, and he's a great Hellboy. Just remember that he's great too as well with that. But yeah, great sequence. Love the Batman stuff. Great story progression to like the next step for the third act and all that. So very excited to talk about that.
Yeah, Slade is a dope villain. He's solid. Aston.
I don't know what I could really add except for me I would agree with mostly what Justin was saying about that somber tone of like when you see all of that play out, like when you see the origin go a different way and you see his dad, like I probably would be more closer to his dad because I would just be like, I would be so mad. Like it's one thing to lose your parents. It's another thing to lose your kid. And then subsequently your wife, the way she did, like what he said, that's what really kept me going. Like, yes, it's a Justice League thing, but in reality, it's Flash and a couple of his buddies to go to the callback of Hal Jordan messing up. Like, this is Hal Jordan without the ring. He still does what he's supposed to do. Like, I think the sacrifice part was shown very well in this movie of like, this is what it is, like we don't got Superman. We don't got, this guy, he had no superpower, still went in that ship and knew like I ain't coming back, and he still hung up on the guy. Like that's why Hal's the guy. To me, he's my favorite Green Lantern in the comics. But if we're talking animated series, we got to go with Al, man. Like we got to go with the black dude in the animated series, Al, right?
John Stewart.
Sorry, Al Simmons got him mixed up with Spawn, man. My bad, John Stewart. Yeah, like because we all grew up with that one. So either or are fine with me. I just don't like the ginger, and I never remembered his name. Like I just can't. I can't. There's enough gingers. But
Guy Gardner, that's his name.
Guy Gardner. Yeah, man. I love that everyone was cast well, and I mean the way like he put the beating on the Flash, man. I was like, yes, like yeah. Because what would you do? It's like stop talking about my kid, like. Everything was just so adult, like the pain, like just like in the comics, the panels of him like failing the experiment. It's like, yes, like, but that's the sacrifice. I feel sacrifice is like the thread of one of the underlying things of this, because the futility, even Lex is there. He could easily be in his big green suit from the animated series. He could be using another weapon, but it's like, there's no point. Like, it's like, I'm here with like my little 9mm and we're going to fight this. And like you said, he owned the L, bro. Like he just, I really think the underlying tone was sacrifice, that even villains would do the right thing. And it was done well. Just like in Red Sun, like the rogues gallery, pun intended, of DC is definitely, bar none, the best villains in any sort of series continuum. I'm putting Star Wars and I'm putting everything into that. It like what Bill Finger and Bob Kane like came up with, and then later, Bruce Timm, he definitely added with the Harley Quinn. Like she definitely took it into different directions. So yeah, definitely, and that it shows in something like this, because they're like, yes, we have older audience now who grew up with our animated series, with our comics. So like, yeah, this isn't such a bold move. Let's do it. And loved it. Like, loved seeing that. Deathstroke. Yeah, Ron Perlman. Nothing to say. You guys dropped the mic on that when you killed it. So,
Cyber.
All right, so this sequence here, starting with the Batcave, is really fun. It's fun to see Thomas Wayne in the Batman mantle versus Bruce. It was a completely different, darker tone. Thomas was definitely a lot darker, a lot even more in his head than Bruce is, and definitely doesn't have as much, I think, willpower to be good versus evil. Versus his son. I think this was a great different contrast of showing the two different types of versions of Batman as well. And I enjoyed Thomas. I thought he was a great Batman. I liked the look. I love that it's different than Bruce's version. And that whole conversation, that whole trying to, basically give Barry his powers back was really awesome. And just like everyone said, yeah, it's very gruesome what they did with this. They animated it very well to make it as gruesome as possible. And, I think, everyone's kind of mentioned the live action version. And, I honestly thought they did a really good job in the live action version as well. I think they gave it enough, ickiness or enough to show that it definitely was something that somebody wouldn't normally survive. Unless they were a meta-human or they were a superhero of some sort. So I think that it did a good job of that. I think they didn't want to go too crazy, because they were trying to keep it in the PG-13 realm. And, at the time this came out as PG-13, it was a different time for the MPA versus it is now. So, they could have gotten a little darker, in 2013 versus, 2023. So, I think there's definitely different things that could have made it a little better. But that whole sequence with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke was fucking amazing. I absolutely loved it. I thought, Deathstroke was awesome. I thought Lex was awesome. I love that they were teaming up to try to find the secret weapon that Aquaman had. And that whole battle sequence was just freaking insane. I mean, the slaughtering. And then the introduction of Ocean Master, Black Manta, and and all those characters too is just so fun. And I mean, the look of Black Manta cracks me up in this film because they make him look almost like a praying mantis, almost the drawing, how they animated him. And I was like, what the hell are they trying to make him look like? I'm like, he just looks really weird. But Ocean Master looked badass. And like, I love that his mask was always on. He never took it off. And so that the glowing eyes were always there, which was really cool. And, I think that was a great introduction to some more great villains. And, I feel we keep iterating how many great villains were in this film. I mean, we got a ton of them in this film. And, versus other films where we usually get maybe one, maybe two. The most we've had, of course, was in Spider-Man No Way Home, when they brought back several of the past villains of Spider-Man that we've seen in other Spider-Man films. But no one has really done that in live action form really well. And this animated film did that so well with all the villains and all the superheroes and stuff like that, and their different versions and alternate versions and stuff like that. Thought they did a really great job. But that whole ocean sequence was so awesome. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really great sequence, kept me engaged. And I think just leading up to our breaking point just was really fun. And I thought that it was just a really entertaining section of the film.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So, Barry recruits more allies, beginning with Superman, who was a prisoner of the U.S. government after his ship crashed into Metropolis. With the aid of Batman and Cyborg, they liberate Superman, who, after being empowered by Earth's yellow sun, fends off the facility's security before fleeing in fear and confusion. Barry collapses as his memories continue to change and is taken to Billy Batson's home to recuperate. There he learns that Hal Jordan's attack has failed, and the final battle between Amazonians and Atlanteans has begun. So I'll stop there. I'll go to you first this time, Cyber. And what are your thoughts on that small passage before we head into the actual major ending conflict?
I mean, Hal Jordan's presence in this film was very short and small at this point. And it was too bad because I would have liked to see more from that character, especially because Nathan Fillion is so great voicing the character. I absolutely love him as Hal Jordan. He sounds perfect for the character and does it well. And, it also was just really well constructed, that like sacrifice that he did. Because if you ever, read or anytime you see anything about the Green Lantern, he is one of the most strongest and awesomest superheroes out of them all, I feel, because he really truly believes in what he does. And he has a lot of the same virtues as Superman does. He has a lot of those things, and I think that, giving the Green Lantern enough credit is something that, the animated films do very well. And I think that even though his part was very short in this, they did a really good job with that. And basically this little passage here is pretty, basic. We get some great information. We get to be introduced to Billy Batson, who is AKA Shazam. And I think they even, I think in the movie here too, at some point they called something else, another name he had, which is absolutely
Captain Thunder.
Yeah, Captain Thunder. And I think that was absolutely hilarious when she says that. And I was like, Captain Thunder? Wow, they're really pulling from the comics. I'm like, holy crap. And
that's how I meet a chick that I don't like calling me daddy or some shit like that. I'm going to tell her to call me Captain Thunder.
There you go. Good job. You do that, Captain Thunder. And, and so I think that was a really interesting little scene where Barry wakes up there in Billy Batson's house and just kind of like, like, where did they take him? Because as you're watching the movie, I'm just kind of like, where the hell did they end up? I don't get this. Why the fuck are they at Billy Batson's house? I'm like, I don't get this. Like, how all of a sudden out of nowhere does Shazam come into the picture and just like this? Like, not even a really good introduction. It was just kind of like, he's there, they're there. And I think it's interesting that they decided to have, Billy Batson and him turn into Shazam with all the kids, which I thought was an interesting take on that version of Shazam. Because as we've seen in the live action films, of course, we saw, each of them become a Shazam themselves. In the comics, I'm not too familiar with Shazam. I know a little bit about it. I've seen a few of the comics in the past, but I think that was an interesting concept to pull in, that they all combined into one Shazam. I thought that was kind of interesting. But overall, I think this little section was pretty basic, gave you a few more interesting information to really progress the story onto, our next battle. We get our kind of the Hail Mary trying to stop Aquaman type of deal, and it doesn't work out with Hal. And it just was I thought a fun and interesting little section.
Okay, Justin.
Yeah, this was a fun section. The Superman jailbreak scene, I think, was well done. You see, Barry collaborating with Batman and Cyborg for the first time, just as a one cohesive unit. And I love how Cyborg has this sense of trust with Batman, even though he's been trying to recruit Batman for ages, and apparently he's been turning him down time after time. And all of a sudden, he's just following every order that Batman gives him. And I guess, they really need him in order to join this war and stop the war from happening. And that's the kind of power that Thomas Wayne had as Batman. He was that good of a tactician.
That's right. A task force led by Hunter Biden said that it had to be Batman.
Yeah, exactly. No, there you go. Yeah, it had to be Batman. If you didn't have Batman, you might as well just shut the whole program down, which is basically what had happened at that point. So I guess Cyborg is I'll do whatever you want as long as you help us out. And Barry's his true hero self is we're gonna help. We're gonna do what we need to do to help. And Batman this whole time is listening to he has everything bugged or whatever, trying to figure out what else is going on over in. That's where he finds that Zoom is still alive, or there's another speedster sucking up the Speed Force. And so, but the Superman jailbreak, going back to that, seeing Superman in that fragile state is just jaw dropping. The Superman that we all see in our mind is the larger than life, almost godlike being, and then we're introduced to him as this very fragile physically, fragile mentally being here in this room, a very dark red room. And it's a very different look for Superman, and I absolutely the fact that we saw Superman in this state. I mean, it always gives me chills. It always, I mean, this movie came out before the Flash movie, obviously years before. But I mean, I think Flash did this well with Supergirl. It was one of my better scenes that I liked and enjoyed. But I think just seeing Superman in that state is just way more just shocking, I guess I'd say. And then getting him, like, when he says friends, like he's like questioning it, the whole like him being like introduced to the world yeah, exactly, and learning these things, like he's literally like the mindset of a child. He's been here so long, and that's what he kind of came across as when he was trying to like, friends, what are friends, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I want friends, yeah, hero, yeah. And it's a very different Superman, and I think it was something that I know I needed at the time of watching this. Like, we're always used to the Superman being like that guy, the Boy Scout, like the guy who comes in and like you know what you're gonna get, you what to expect. But this one, that's like wild card. You don't know what you're gonna get. He's fragile. Like, you don't know if he's gonna help, if he's gonna like turn on them. Like, I mean, he didn't know who was good and who was bad. He knew he was just like, oh, okay, you say you're my friend, and he's like goes with them. But that could have easily changed. Like, I mean, how like weak was his mind at the time? Like, it could have been swayed. But yeah, that sequence was really well done, and I mean, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
You don't know if you might like switch sides for a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know.
Exactly.
All right, I'll do this pop culture guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Superman jailbreak is a very iconic thing from the storyline. So seeing it be adapted was really great. I mean, first off, just seeing Cyborg joining Batman is kind of cool because, you know, they already had like a relationship prior to this, so that's really cool to see. And by the way, for like, it was funny before Cyborg, you know, we get Cyborg again. There was a scene where he talked to the president that is so obvious, Barack Obama, right? He's like in a very like you know, like Southern way. I don't know. Like, it was so funny to see a black president that's obviously Barack Obama telling Cyborg, like, sorry, son, we're gonna bring our soldiers in, and like, you know, no offense. And like, one nitpick, it's just a nitpick. It's just kind of weird. It's like, of all the people, why Batman? Like, do you know this guy is literally Rorschach of your universe? The guy has guns. He kills his villains, probably, right? Like, the fact that he throw yo-yo in you know, the high, you know, like high building, like, it's kind of obvious he's a psycho. So I was like, why you need him? I mean, you know, like, if this was Bruce Wayne, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because, you know, he's a strategist. He has, you know, plans, you know, like, this Batman is just a psycho. He's like RoboCop meets Punisher. I mean, come on. Like, why you need him? So I was kind of like, why we need Batman? I was like, okay. But anyway, I thought that was
he's like Batman.
Yes, that's true. Oh, that's probably why Zack Snyder liked the story. Probably he probably took that and make that into Bat Affleck. But yeah, so yeah, and seeing Superman in that skinny form, like, again, just like Dark Knight Returns when he got hit by the nuclear bomb, like, same imagery. Seeing him in this like skinny state is so disturbing and so horror-like. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, I agree with Justin. Seeing him like getting introduced to the world is like you know, very sad, and, you know, because he didn't have the proper, you know, like, if he didn't get the proper training or like parenting he got in the other timeline, you know, this is how Superman could have been, you know. And yeah, and I like how I like that he becomes friends with Cyborg, who is not human, you know, like, he's a half human, just like, you know, Superman. And I kind of like that, like you know, comparison, like, putting that together. That was really neat. Yeah, Lois, you know, overseas, you know, we got Lois Lane. I didn't want to bring up it was really great that he brought back the DCAU Lois Lane. I think Dan Parent, I think that's her name. I'm forgetting her last name, but like, fantastic Lois Lane. I was so happy to hear her voice. She had really great funny scenes. And then seeing the Resistance that were like the Wildstorm characters from Jim Lee's run was really great to see. And and you saw briefly. This is my third time watching this movie. I never caught the little streak that was Reverse Flash. That was really cool detail. To set up Thomas to show the footage for Barry. So that was really great to set up that before we get into the third act. So that was really cool. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this. It's this section is very slow, but it makes sense because we're getting everything like pitted to the next level, to the third act, which is going to be crazy. And so I think it's necessary to kind of slow down and get like each of the part to each of the pieces into
You're
the third.
doing good, Andres, pop culture guy. Don't kill your contribution.
I'm almost there. 60 minutes. All right. Anyway, that's all I had to say. 60 minutes out. Let my friends talk more.
Okay, Aston.
Yeah, I mean, when you see how they do, like when they're trying to save Lois Lane, and just how they introduce so many characters, that's what I was kind of touching at in the chat. I wish this was just maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes longer, because then I feel you could have given each of these guys a little bit more, because I wish it lasted longer because of those sort of scenes, like seeing this. Usually I really don't enjoy these sort of, alternate universes with most things. I think most shows, like in comics, don't do it as well. The graphic novel did it well. This was well done. And the darkness of this is what Wonder Woman would be like if she never fell in love with Bruce, if she never, met Clark. It's like if she was just, all she knew was men being D-bags and stuff. Same thing with Aquaman. Like, if you don't have these guys come together, pause, like the Super Friends, we don't have like this whole universe. And I feel this part of the story does that well, because you get the blood, the gore, you see that, the helplessness, the Shazam kids. Like, I like, for me, that was also crazy, because in my mind it was like, isn't it just one guy who's Shazam? But now it's like divided amongst like all of them, and I'm like, that was crazy. Like, when we dealt with that scene. That this is what we're talking about now, right? Where she fought them, right? Yeah, like
layer.
No, we're not.
oh,
Yeah,
so we
not yet.
we didn't see the second encounter, so it's still the first
Yeah.
one, right? Okay, cool. So like, for me, the way they introduced so many not side characters, but characters in their own right, in such a way, in a good way, that's so gripping, that keeps you going from scene to scene. Like, it wasn't just the combat, it was everything kind of converging together, having you invested in these characters, and not just Barry, because like that's a given, not just Thomas, that's a given, but everyone has already shown you what they're losing or have already lost going into this. So it definitely wasn't the after school special we were used to. So that's what I liked. And it did feel a little anime at times. So I'm gonna have to back up like boy Cyber over there. Like, he definitely had it right. Like, at some moments it did feel anime-ish, but it didn't take me out of the vibe. So like, really liked this part. The build up is tremendous.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So, Barry convinces the superheroes to help stop the war. They depart for Britain aboard Batman's jet, only to be shot down upon arrival. Batson and his siblings combine into Captain Thunder to fight Wonder Woman, while Barry, Cyborg, and Batman occupy Aquaman. Zoom reveals himself and viciously beats Barry. Sticks a piece of Rybar right into his fucking thigh. He explains that Barry's responsible for this alternate timeline. Barry traveled back in time to save his mother, fracturing the fabric of reality. Wonder Woman uses her lasso to force Captain Thunder back into Batson and kills him. I'll stop there. Justin, you can start.
Yeah. Okay. So what Aston was getting to with this Wonder Woman and Shazam fight, this right here was like, man, it was brutal, because like Shazam has like the power similar to Superman, but more on like the magical end, obviously. But so they're going back and forth, and she's like, okay, we gotta put an end to this somehow. She like throws the lasso around him, like, how do you get your powers? Speaks a word, and then like the fact that she makes him speak the word and then just destroys Billy Batson. It's so unfair, but because he had no chance at all. And then that's like the brutality of the world that they're living in. Is like Wonder Woman is like next level. She's like amped up to the next degree, doesn't trust any man, and that's what she lays out on the table there, is like, I'm gonna kill kids. Like that's where she's at, killing kids. But yeah, I mean, you also see like all these other pockets of fights going on. Like you get to actually see demonstrated like side characters you'll never see ever again, like a Grifter. Grifter is I mean, he's a fun character in the comics. He's kind of like a throwaway, but he's pretty dark too. But Grifter's character design is one of the best. It really is. And I feel like just that, like, yeah, that bandana mask or whatever that is, like the fact that it's loose and it's only covering up to his chin is really cool, man. Like, he needs more features and other things.
Like Excalibur, right? It reminds you of that dude from Excalibur. If you read the Excalibur comics,
gosh, I know. Yeah, yes. Oh gosh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah,
no,
that's
you're good.
where
Like it's like
seen
the
that
face
sort of
shield kind of. Yeah. But yeah, so you see like these pockets of fights going on, and like even like Lois Lane's getting in the mix. Like she's like around like all the fights, which I mean, Lois Lane being our badass reporter, investigative journalist, like getting into the action. It's always fun to see, but like the reveal of like Zoom and reverse Flash coming into the scene, and like when he does stick that like the Rybar into his leg, oh my gosh, dude, so brutal, so brutal. But then like the conversation that they have about like him saving his mother, where it's all like revealed that this is the thing that led us here, and like the emotions that Barry's feeling at the moment, like he doesn't I mean, yes, he does eventually like say lines, but like at that moment of like realizing Barry is he's in turmoil. Like he's like wrestling with himself. Like, is this really what it is? Like, I saved someone. Like that's all he did. Like he's trying to justify it in his head. Like, I saved someone, but it was a very crucial person to his story and where he developed from. But yeah, it was this sequence here is like pretty brutal, man. Even that Wonder Woman scene stole the scene for me. I don't know, like Andres, what do you think about this scene, man?
No, fantastic scene. I mean, first up, you knew this was going to happen. The war between the Atlantis versus the Amazons did not disappoint. And yeah, Shazam, is high powered. Not in super, like, it's more supernatural power, as you say, Justin, than like full on like Omega level with Superman. But yeah, I did not expect her to kill Billy Batson the first time, and it's still shocking. Like I was like, wow, the lasso of truth is that powerful, and then cut the kid out. Which they thankfully they didn't go too far with the gore with the kid's death, which I was happy about. But you knew it, the kid was dead, so that was neat. Man, Reverse Flash, great villain. I was so happy how they portray him here. That was the one thing I was kind of disappointed with the Flash movie, how they didn't use the Reverse Flash there. Here, it just like having him here that start the event is like very important, because he has this like obsession over Barry Allen. It's just right here, and him explain like, this is your fault, Barry. This is your doing, because if you didn't save your mom, none of this, gonna happen. The Armageddon that's gonna happen. So, yeah, I would really like that. And plus, Batman, he's really great here. And when he gets shot, I like the line he say when the plane crashes down. He tells Barry that while you were doing your Braveheart speech, I have I got the Lois Lane connection, and he showed him the footage of the Reverse Flash being in this timeline. So that was really cool. And yeah, and I'm very excited to talk about the death of Cyborg, which I was so sad that when he got killed by Aquaman.
Why are you jumping ahead, sir?
I'm saying when we get to that,
that's not in the fucking viewpoint of the fucking film where we're at right now.
No one, sir. Fuck you. I'm talking.
Seriously.
Fuck you, Jeff. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sir, constrain yourself.
You straighten yourself.
He needs to be bitch slapped a few times. I think he's starting to get out of control here.
I'm not a bitch
He's
slapper.
a little big of a head.
I'm a moderator, sir. I don't bitch slap people.
Yeah, you do.
The problem is he's living in too many timelines, and so Time Lord thinks we're at that part right now. That's the problem.
That's true.
I've never actually bitch slapped anybody before. I've punched dudes in the face multiple times, but I've never bitch slapped anybody. The moment never popped up where I could like backhand someone. Unfortunately, and get like that TikTok moment, of swatting some dude or whatever. So I've always just punched him in the face. But anyways, I don't really have big hands, so I've got to like keep it real. But Cyber.
Let's see. So this poor pot of the film, it's pretty, it's just gruesome. I mean, the death of Billy Batson, that was so fucked up. I was like, they just killed a fucking kid. That's fucked up. And, I think that, this whole scene, just the battling back and forth between everyone was just really and fucking intense and just amazing and just like so cool and just lots of great action. I mean, when we finally get our kind of confrontation with, Eoborn and Flash himself, we get that really great kind of, moment where once again, we go back to kind of having that interesting, amazing kind of like moments for Barry, like we had earlier in the film where he got very serious and very kind of like thought-provoking and stuff like that. And this was like one of those scenes between him and Eoborn. It was just one of those things that you felt it, you saw it, you knew exactly what Barry was feeling just because of how much he wanted to bitch slap Eoborn because of what he was doing. And, Barry knows what he did was wrong. He realizes that, what he did was stupid, trying to save his mother. But at the same time, when you want something so much, you'll do anything for it. And, you lose your mind sometimes. And Barry kind of realizes it here. That, I made the mistake. It's my fault. I got to fix it, basically. And so, as he's being beat the hell out of by Eoborn, which cracked me up, I'm like, Eoborn has been in the Speed Force a lot here. And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't he be a little like kind of, out of energy because he was in the Speed Force so much? Like, wouldn't he lose some power a little bit here? And he wouldn't be as powerful, but yet they have him so powerful still. And I just kind of crack up going, like Barry should be able to take this motherfucker out. Like, he's a lot stronger than Eoborn is. And I always find it funny that they always play Eoborn like he's so much more powerful when pretty much technically in the comics, they are pretty much even in their Speed Force and in their powers and everything that they do. So I don't get why they always have it where he's like so much more powerful when they're very even keeled. It's kind of like having Superman and Lois Lane going against each other. It's kind of the thought process I feel when they're making these fucking
I think
films.
It's situational.
And so I think it's stupid when they do that kind of shit and like just make it even. Make the battle fucking even. Just have them fighting each other for quite a while and it's good. And so just like what all the other villains were doing and heroes were doing in this battle sequence, is beautiful. It would be so much fun and so amazing. And it just really would be a lot better if that's how they would conceive this. But other than that, this whole section is really done well, really awesome, lots of great action, fun, and I think it leads up to a great conclusion.
Aston.
I mean, who doesn't love what is, DC animated ethnic cleansing as much as the next guy enjoyed? But it was crazy, like the gruesome, the brutality, like what the previous host said. Like it was very intense. It was very intense to watch. I mean, the comic goes some places, but it's a lot different when you hear it, and they did it tastefully. They didn't cross especially like with something like the Batson death, like that really could have like been, you know, they were like a, as someone might say, a cunt's hair away from making it go too much, but it was just there. The sound, you saw the body hit the floor, you know, those, it was just, you know, narrowly escaped from being too gruesome. But yeah, even like as everything's falling apart and you got this Eberron, like I never could got his name. Like I'm not the biggest Flash fan, so yeah, Reverse Flash, Dark Professor Zoom, whatever, like he did good. He did good. Just like in the graphic novel, like where they have the panels of just his face and like kind of bringing it home of like, yo, you did this. I played off you in essence. You thought you had me at the beginning, but nah, like you did this. Like you brought me back. You allowed me to flourish. Like all of it's like, this is you, buddy. And it, for me, it's like whenever I see something like that, it's sort of like Boromir in Lord of the Rings. It's like, if you have the chance to save someone you love or to save the world, like, and you know, why wouldn't you, right? Like you're going to take that shot. I think all of us would, maybe because we're not heroes at the end of the day. And I feel the way Barry had to makes the decision and like kind of is confronted with it. Yeah, it's brutal. Like his leg taken, like, dude, I worked construction, bro. Like one of my things, like we all watch those like cheesy 70s, 80s horror movies. There's always a guy at a construction site. And when I started working construction, my phobia was always winding up and like landing on that shit and like needing a tetanus shot or like worse. So like seeing that was just like, you know, I started twitching when I saw him trying to like limp around. I'm like, oh, like, but yes, like very close to being too gruesome, packaged very well, and just an adrenaline ride the whole time. Like I would say the action was better in these than the previous 3 we watched for me.
Okay. So,
shout out to Zero Dark Nerdy. Thanks, bro. Mad love. He's in the chat, man. Shout out, bro.
there you go. Word. Appreciate you, Acid. Superman arrives but cannot save Cyborg from Aquaman. Cyborg gets all stripped up and shit. You see his heart and everything. It's like gruesome. It's like really depressing too. Who remotely detonates his Captain Atom powered bomb. As the explosion tears across the landscape like a la Terminator 2, Zoom is killed by Batman. The dying Batman urges Barry to run, gives him a letter addressed to Bruce. Barry races back in time and stops his earlier self, again fracturing time and creating a new timeline. Barry awakens at his desk and finds that reality is apparently back to normal. He visits Bruce to tell him about everything that occurred and gives him the letter. Bruce cries and thanks him before Barry runs off. His wife is back. He has a wife again. And in the post-credit scene, of course, we do see a hole open up in space above Earth as a horde of parademons emerge. So, Aston, you start. Your thoughts on that final portion of the film?
I mean, the whole closing out was amazing. I mean, they showed the gravitas of the death of Cyborg, and like for me personally, I just looked at it as Michael B. Jordan. You have a great guy. He did decent. This probably, you know, just as he was starting to blow up and stuff in the industry, and I felt it was kind of cheap, the voice effects, you know what I mean? And they kind of cleared it up for this as he's going away, which was good because if he was going, I'm going to die, like it just would have taken me out of everything, like everything. So in my mind, it was like, yeah, okay. As it's progressing, I'm like, okay, it's getting darker, grittier. Superman, like when it was like close your eyes, like as Cyborg is like they're injured as though he's like close your eyes, like he's like being like he's like quarterbacking it for him, and Bruce is like Thomas, he's like, taken out. They're all getting taken out, like, and as everything's falling apart, it's left down to this one guy, Barry the jokester, the guy who, you know, and he accepts it, he does it, and like that letter, like because we're doing everything, even like we're doing this the end, right? So it's like that letter, bro. And even there, like, you know, like that really got me in the feels because you don't ever see that in any of those animated features. They don't go that far in, and they humanized Bruce in such a way. And just knowing Conroy did it, like just hearing him just for those few lines throughout the whole movie was, yeah, like Like we don't know what was written in it. We don't know, like that's the charm in it, but that Thomas got to send in this universe, he got to say goodbye. Like like goosebumps, bro. Like yeah. So yeah, enough of me being pissy eyed. Moving back to you in the studio, Justin.
Yo, I just got a phone number from a chick. Jet Life. It's on my screen right here. You can't see it, but I got a number today. That's good. I'll probably end up smashing something right there. But
way to go, Jeff. Way to go, Jeff.
There you go. You know how we do here at the MCU'S Edge, folks. We are pro sex. We are anti-abstinence. We do not agree. Andre's a pop culture guy. Your thoughts, sir, on abstinence or the film, wherever you want to go.
Yeah, good for you, sir. I'm happy for you.
Oh, good for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but good. Great shout out to Cyril Dark 30. Thank you, sir, for coming. And Austin, you sounded like who's that robot from Futurama?
Bender.
Bender. Yes, you reminded me of him when he did that. I was like, just imagine Bender dying in a very comedic way. It's like, I'm going to die. You know. Anyway, no. Cyborg Staff was so sad. I mean, Michael B. Jordan, really great actor. Really cool that they kind of toned down the robotic voices, stuff that we usually hear with robots or like cybernetic people, right? It was great to see Superman stop Aquaman. Like it was brutal. Like he used his laser to cut his arm. That was really crazy. And then Wonder Woman like backstabbing Aquaman and like twice, and is like, oh my god, this guy's like getting hit and stabbed. It's like, oh my god, poor Aquaman. And his death was really brutal. But the best one was Reverse Flash. Like he throughout like this 30-minute or 40-minute mark, like he just constantly being Barry and like taunting him and like he's like better than him, right? And then he's so cocky, he never realized that like something's behind him, right? And he gets shot by Batman using I guess the gun that killed his kid, right? And really parodic way to like just do that on Reverse Flash. Very like I was so happy when he died, Reverse Flash. I was like, yes, and then of course, Thomas Wayne giving him the note was really cool. I mean that, I mean, Captain Anna exploding, I was like, okay. But what was so annoying? It was that Atlantean person. He didn't do anything before Aquaman, activate the bomb. It's like you could have easily just gone in, sneak in, and tried to get Captain Atom out, right? It's like he just waited in the last minute to do it, right? It's like it was so annoying. He literally allowed the world die. So whatever, he died, so who cares, right? So yeah, then Flash tried to run and get his speed up, and it was so sad when he said, "Mom, I'm sorry," really great, and for that, and then seeing him seeing the new timeline was really cool. I didn't notice the costume change, like you saw the stripes, sort of similar to the live action Flash suit for Ezra in his solo film. It was kind of similar, like the little stripes that we see in New 52. So that was good detail. Same thing with Batman's suit. It's not blue as the beginning of the movie it was black. But yeah. So and then of course that note was really great. It was just Kevin Conroy, very sad that he passed. It was great to hear his voice and like the way he say thank you for being a great messenger, and like that really hit me, just hearing his voice like that after he passed. What, how many years? 2-3 years since 2022, I think. So like very sad to just not have him here and just hear his voice like that. It was really great. So great, and we have this like Spider-Man montage finale, like him running the city was really cool. Like it reminded me of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man film, like ending. So yeah, overall really loved the ending. Action packed, just very emotional, which was really great, and I think it delivered.
There you go. Kind of like your fangirls in Pakistan delivered on that video.
Oh my god, you ruined a moment. It was
Anyway.
emotional.
Cyber.
Oh, I love the smell of Time Cop in the morning. Anyways, it's the finale of this film is absolutely just fantastic. I mean, the fact that Thomas Wayne comes out of nowhere and blows Eoborn's head off was fucking awesome. Like, as soon as you saw that bullet hole in his head, you're just like, holy shit, the fastest guy here, and he didn't see that coming. Like, seriously, like, it's kind of like in Age of Ultron when Petro decides to swirl around Hawkeye so him and the kid don't get killed. And he's like, you didn't see that coming. It kind of felt like that same type of the deal there. And I think it was absolutely hilarious that, he's kind of like talking, kind of shit talking. All of a sudden, boom, Thomas Wayne just blows his head off. And I was like, wow, that was quick. Well, why didn't the Flash think of that? But anyways, the conclusion is very good because we get a very solid, Barry coming to his senses and fixing what he did wrong. And so we get to see him doing the Speed Force again, stopping his earlier self from doing what he did, and basically recorrecting what his mistake was prior. And we all know, for any animated comic book iteration, there's never a true ending to any of this stuff. And so that's how we get that post-credit scene where, other creatures decide to come through and cause havoc, of course. But, the conclusion where, everything is basically seems like it's back to normal. Barry wakes back up in his office and all that kind of stuff is that kind of happy ending feeling, which makes it all worth the while that, he saved the day, basically. And, it just like how in the Flash live action film where, we think everything's back to normal, and then all of a sudden we have George Clooney pop up as the Batman, it is absolutely that same kind of deal here. So, if you haven't seen the Flash, sorry, I just ruined it for you. But anyways, that was also a year ago. So if you haven't seen it already, it's your fault. Anyway, so, basically how that happened in that film, I feel how kind of this ending is too similar. It's very similar where, you think that it's ended, but there's always something else that pops out. So I think it's a really solid ending. I really enjoyed it. And I think that, everything that comes to its fruition at the end, we get that great ending with that little post-credit scene that, says, hey, maybe there's a little more.
Justin.
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on a lot of great points. So, I mean, I don't have too much to add, but I do want to point out, like, the most gruesome, the death was Reverse Flash, and that bullet hole through the head, and you see Thomas Wayne in the background is just like through the head. It's an incredible sequence of events. And then, like, when he just tells, he gives Barry the letter and says run, and he runs, and he sees his self who's trying to put an end to his mother's killer, and he's like, Barry's like he's like shouting out to himself, and he like his past self is like looking back like leave me alone kind of deal. Like he's determined, he wants to save his mom, and he literally like has to tackle him. And on Andres, he says it the best. He said that when he says I'm sorry mom, and all that is done like kind of like off scene a little bit, like it's like he tackles him, and then like you kind of see sequences of memory, and then he says, that's what he says, I'm sorry mom. And that's such a huge sacrifice, like knowing that you literally saved your mom, you had some time with her. I mean, she thought you were gay, but still you had time with her. And
I'd be so fucked up if my mom thought I was gay.
I mean, hey, he got that time with her.
No one in my entire life has ever actually accused me of being gay.
Oh, hey, surprisingly, right? No, just kidding. But yeah, no. So he had time with her, so he knew, like, he got to spend a birthday with his mom, which he hadn't done in a while, and to knowing that like that's all gone now because you had to stop that. And then we get the scene where like Flash is just kind of like debriefing Batman, Bruce Wayne, Kevin Conroy. Like I got into it because of Kevin Conroy and his phenomenal performance in Batman the Animated Series. So, I mean, honestly, he truly does have a special place in my heart. Like, and the sad thing is that like 2 years ago when he passed away on my birthday, which was like one of the worst things to find out on my birthday. And like it really does tear me up to this day. And just when the performance that he gives, Kevin Conroy, in reading the letter and just talking to Barry, and like right before he reads the letter, he's like, it sounds like you got a gift because you have your old memories with your mom and remember every birthday that she gave you. And then Barry bestows upon him a gift as well. And it's a letter from his father, and you don't get to read the entirety of the letter, but you do see at the end where it says, "I love you, son," and then Thomas Wayne on there. And I mean, I watched this like numerous times. I've seen this movie like maybe like 10 times or whatever, but this time post Kevin Conroy, like it hit so much harder, and I was really in the feels, like very emotional. I mean, I'm gonna admit it, I was very teary-eyed. I was very teary-eyed during the scene, and because like he gets the letter, he starts reading it, he takes his cowl off. He takes the cowl off is a huge thing, and the fact that he turns around to Barry and was just like thank you, like I appreciate it, like that kind of thing. Like it was truly a phenomenal ending, almost masterful, really, and I really enjoyed it, man.
This one chick back in 2013 gave me a gift. It was fucking herpes. Simplex 2, you know? Not fun. I rocked it for a long time. Then I got my Bacta tank, you know? You know what I'm saying? Through Boba Fett. And that shit knocked out the herp, because my, you know, it's Bacta. You know what I'm saying? I was in the lay in the water and shit and all that with my mask on, you know? So, all right, ratings. I'll start with you, Cyber. Rating, sir.
I give it a solid 9. And the only reason I give it a 9 is because, like I said earlier, I wasn't a huge fan of the very anime artwork of it. Other than that, the story is fantastic. The acting, the voiceovers, the animation itself, like the actual action of it, was done really well. Great musical score. Overall, a really fantastic film. So I give it a 9.
There you go. And I'll give the film a solid 8.5. Really solid. I don't want to go crazy with the rating because it has a couple of faults here and there. It's an 8.75 at least. 8.75 is my final rating on the film. Solid film, very entertaining, very watchable. Hour and 20 minutes, easy watch. You know, to throw on real quick and watch, and you could jerk to Wonder Woman and Aquaman real quick. There's like hardcore, like, you know, violence and shit and blood and gore and all that, you know. It's crazy, bro. Aston, your rating, sir.
Yeah, I got to give it an 8 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed it. Really good movie. What else to say? Kevin Conroy, everything. It had everything you needed in a DC animated feature from that era to really take you back, but then also provide you the entertainment you want now. So definitely better than a lot of the things I've seen in the last couple of years, and I will definitely recommend it if anyone wants to stream it or anything like that. You might not want to purchase it. I don't know what the DVDs or Blu-rays go for if they have them, but if they have them on streaming like on Amazon, definitely it's worth it.
Just steal them, folks. Just steal them from the store. Just steal them. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. You know, see what happens. You never know. Make it interesting. Justin.
Yeah, I mean, after rewatching this again, just I watched it today actually just for the podcast, but I mean, I'm gonna give this a 9.5, man. This really was a top tier movie for me. It did a lot with like nostalgia, playing up on like they did a lot of the voice actors. Like I said, we talked about Kevin Conroy, but a lot of the voice Ron Perlman as Slade. I mean, it brought what we've seen in the Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and Justice League Unlimited. It brought a lot of those aspects to it, but then just like turned it up, turned the grit up, turned the gruesomeness up. And I mean, honestly, like that's what if you grew up with the Batman animated series, you aged up during this movie, and you're at the appropriate age to want to see the violence and the gore and all this kind of stuff. Like you're there. You're not a kid anymore. You've crossed the threshold. So like, I mean, I give it a 9.5, man. This is really it's still to this day, I think it's one of DC animated's top movies. So great.
Oh, it's a good movie, without question. Andre's pop culture guy.
Yeah, no, I agree with Justin. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. If you are a Flash fan, this is the Flash movie you want. I'm sorry, but this is at least better than what the TV show did.
You're back to your favorite number, 9. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 9 is a good number. Yeah, so it's better than the Flash TV show season 3 premiere of Flashpoint. It's better than the movie. I'm sorry. Despite the movie is good, it just didn't deliver on like the multiverse and just in general the storyline of Flashpoint. But yeah, I enjoy it. I was very happy to discuss this with all of you guys, and I agree with Justin. It's definitely top tier DC animation films.
Okay, excellent. And Justin, great job with your live stream. On your end, Wi-Fi wise and all that. You were good. You were good tonight, brother.
We survived, man. We did it.
Good video, good audio, smooth.
Thanks,
you look
man.
good, man. You're holding it down. All right, folks. That is the end of Justice League Flashpoint Paradox review. We will move on to plugs and get after that. We appreciate everybody who joined the review. Of course, feel free to support us if you consider, doing so by simply following, subscribing, of course, to our ourselves on all the different platforms we're on. There's tons of them. All the major ones we're on them. So I don't need to name them. You all know what they are. We're on all the socials. So if you see our name, just hit that fucking button, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just light it up, right? Like, be like, the M2 the edge. Bam. Fucking smash that shit. There you go. All right. First plug. Besides Dom in the comment section. It's your Dark Nerdy.
Shout out.
No Shogun Awards tonight. We don't do that with DC Animated.
Well, I give Justin the Shogun Award tonight for his audio being so fantastic.
Justin did a really good job, Cyber. Great audio and video and great contributions the whole show. So honestly, Justin, if we were doing the Shogun Award of this one, you get it.
Hey, I'll take it. Thank you.
No problem, sir. Being associated with Shogun is always positive. And we'll start with you. Start with your YouTube channel, and then we'll move on to your podcast, sir. So go ahead and tell us all about Royal Geek Podcast.
Yeah, Royal Geek Podcast. We're about to drop a recap of season 1 of Ring of Power in preparation for the August 29th drop of the new season of Rings of Power, which we will be covering episode by episode. You should
interconnect that with us.
Oh yeah. I know you guys are doing episodes. Yeah, I'd love to hook up with that.
We're doing it too, so
yeah. We're just a bunch of average guys talking about things we love, and check us out, Royal Geek Podcast. We're here for it.
Well, hold on, I'm gonna pull up your podcast too. The Royal Geek Podcast. I wrote you guys a review on Apple Podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. We shouted you out. The episode we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we shouted you out. MCU, Bleeding Edge, Jeff. Dude, I appreciate that review. It was great. We dabble in all sorts of things. We did a cool SDCC recap of Comic-Con, and then we have some fun with some brackets. We throw some summertime brackets for the close of summer.
Look, I'm on that one right there. Look at that. There you go.
Yep. There you go. Oh yeah, yep. There you go. That's the one Jeff guest starred on. It was a fun episode we did. So if you guys want to check that one out, that one is a real fun time. Jeff he brings the heat.
That's right. We'll be having the whole squad coming on, I'm sure. At least one or two of them will come on for the MCU ranking shows and theory shows we're going to be doing on Saturdays the next couple of weeks. So I'm sure we'll get Royal Geek Podcast, representation at least.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But Cyberneticshark, sir, I'm going to go to you next.
All right, folks. So if you have join me on this panel, or if you enjoy me as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Patreon, pretty much anywhere there's a social media platform. I'm there. But anyways, you can see there my most recent review is Twisters, the sequel to the 96 film. And of course, my most recent trailer reaction there is Agatha All Along. If you haven't seen those, check it out as well. Check out my mini review, of course, of Jackpot, which is a film that just dropped on Amazon Prime this past weekend, directed by the great Paul Feig, and stars John Cena and Aquafina. Super funny film, action-packed, really fun. Samuel Liu's in it as well. I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. I'll be having Long Legs review up here shortly, along with my Captain America Brave New World trailer reaction, along with some other stuff and all that kind of good stuff. And be doing my Alien Romulus review soon, and my Harold the Purple Crayon, Trapped, Borderlands. We'll have all those reviews up soon for you guys. If you guys haven't seen Alien Romulus, definitely recommend go check it out. If you're a fan of the original Alien, it's basically Alien 2.0 if you enjoy that original film. So it's a decent film. Graphics are fantastic in it, and Fede Alvarez did a great job. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend check out that mini review of it too as well. And yeah, just be trucking and rucking and keep on watching, people. Thanks.
Aston Mike Delgado, when are you going to put some content up on YouTube channel, sir?
Dude, don't get me started. I tried streaming. Well, I streamed for like an hour and a half, and I didn't push the record thing on my OBS, bro. It's embarrassing, bro. And I literally finished like 3 levels of Halo, and I'm talking like crazy, and I have no idea how that looked or sounded or anything, bro.
That
like,
sucks.
It was embarrassing, bro. Like literally cleared 3 levels, didn't die one time, like really was going at it, and I haven't touched the game in ages. But yes, I will have something actually up tomorrow. Probably going to be Halo or Left 4 Dead. And yeah, I'm gonna be dropping a record soon, and I'm gonna be streaming twice a week. I'm hoping. When I'm not with you guys, I'm gonna be streaming some game footage and video game reviews, RPGs, stuff like that. Aston Mike Delgado.
Put some content up, sir. Get the most out of being on the bleeding edge.
I know. Trust me, man. Like I was supposed to have something up, but literally I didn't push record on OBS. Total amateur hour stuff. So
yeah, we've all been there. I'm the pop culture guy, sir.
Yes. Austin, I feel your pain. I had that situation with Jeff. We I think we did a Chuck review. It wasn't live stream. It was actually just a regular podcast, and I was like, "Oh, damn! I didn't do the live stream recording." So I feel your pain. And Saber, I'd seen Alien,
and he never told me either. He just went on. He just kept on going. He just did whatever.
Yeah, I told Jeff afterwards. I was like, "Jeff, buddy, I'm sorry, but it wasn't a live stream. I actually just did a podcast recording." And yeah, that's what happened. Saber, I saw Alien Romulus. It's a great film. I love it. I saw it with my mom. It was fun. Very scary. Definitely third best Alien movie after Aliens and Alien. Anyway, hello everyone. This is Pop Culture Guy Channel Presents. I just pulled up a Andrew Garfield birthday tribute for my favorite Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield himself. And then I post a scene from one of the Guardians films, Star-Lord dancing in the opening sequence of the 2014 film. Live stream this Sunday. I'm gonna do Batman 89. Have some like a Tim Burton appreciation. Because we know that in a couple weeks, I think 19 days or I don't know how many days, but we're gonna get Beetlejuice 2 in September. So let's get on that. And so yeah, that's where I'm at. I just want to thank everyone in the podcast. Justin, it was great to see you again. Austin, it was always fun to talk to you. You're great. It was a fun podcast. So yeah, let's have a good night.
All right, y'all, and we're live again on Friday night at 9:35 p.m. Eastern, 6:35 p.m. Pacific, pulling off our review live with drinking games of Batman Begins. It will be solid. It will be a good show. You'll see a lot of the same folks, these assholes here, on the show. So come back for them, right? And come back for me. I'll be there, and it'll be a good experience for everybody, I promise. And not this Saturday, but the Saturday after will be our first MCU theory ranking show that we're going to have at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we'll have a couple of Saturday shows, Hopefully, everybody from the bleeding edge will participate at least once. At least one of them, you know. There's plenty to cover for everybody. But we appreciate everybody out there. Have a wonderful Thursday and Friday until we get to the weekend. God bless all of you, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. Thank you to our panel.